Hey everyone, it's me, Buster Green, and I feel very refreshed to do a crazy review of the movie Twisters. Now, I'm gonna be real, I had very extremely low expectations for this movie. I thought this movie was gonna suck, because there's kind of a rule in Hollywood that if a movie comes out 20 years after the original and it has none of the original cast, just forget it. That's gonna be Son of the Mask. That's gonna be the reboot of Ghostbusters. But Twisters is not that kind of movie. It's good enough. It's good enough, respectful enough, it honors the legacy of the original movie, and it's an entertaining movie in its own right that you can watch without having seen the original Twister. It also gave me unexpected brain candy that I'll get into at the end of this video. Before I talk about Twisters, I'm going to quick mention the original Twister, or rather my very poor recollection of it. So I saw Twisters when it came out, and I was a very small child when it came out. I was maybe in first or third grade. I don't know. Maybe I was 10 years old. I don't know how old I am. But anyway, this is how I remember the movie Twister. It was 1990s. It was America. It was the Midwest. A group of storm chasers drove around in a pickup truck. They chased tornadoes because they were scientists, and their only goal was to scientifically map a tornado by launching a tennis ball robot into it. But they have no idea where that tornado is going to be, so they better watch out. Oh no, what's that? Oh, it's a flying cow. Wow, an iconic flying cow. So beautiful, so iconic. That Twister was powerful enough to lift a cow. Abandon all hope, you enter here. Oh wait, if we follow that cow, that's it. That's the Twister. Okay, launch those tennis ball robots at it. We did it. The end. Later, I got very mad that they replaced the Universal Studios thing where you saw a live-action reenactment of Ghostbusters with a similar thing where you saw a live-action reenactment of Twister. It just wasn't as good. And I've told that nowadays that place is a hole in the wall for a roller coaster. And that's even worse, but anyway, I'm just sad right now I'll never see a live-action reenactment of Ghostbusters again. But anyway, back to reviewing Twisters. So, I decided I was going to see Twisters. But something changed my mind a few days ago. A few days ago, I was browsing Kotaku for video game news, where a weird article came up describing the experience of viewing Twisters in 4DX as a pseudo-religious come-to-God moment. And as someone who grew up in sunny South Korea, I'm very familiar with 4DX. 4DX movies are extremely common in South Korea, and the last time I lived in South Korea, it was 2010, and for an extended period of time, I went to a 4DX movie almost every single week. Probably the best 4DX movie I've ever seen was the 4DX version of Avatar, and I also saw 4DX versions of The Last Airbender and Alice in Wonderland, which were a complete waste of time and money, and the 4DX branding. I can also say that the last 4DX movie I've seen before this one was Amazing Spider-Man 2. I went to see that in 4DX, and it was okay. The chairs swung back and forth every time Spider-Man used a web sling, and that was pretty amusing. Anyway, this article somehow made me really miss 4DX, and it really changed my mind, and so I decided to go on a big expensive trip to the only 4DX theater on the East Coast, the Regal 4DX in Times Square in the heart of New York City. Despite the fact that with train fare to New York City and additional New York fees, it cost me almost $60 more in travel and other expenses than it would have cost me to see the movie locally. But fuck it, you only live once, and I wanted to see a goddamn tornado for real. Now, I did underestimate the demand for the 4DX. If you plan on doing this, you definitely gotta get your tickets ahead of time on the website. Now, I found out from this experience that if you go to the 4DX theater, they don't actually sell tickets there. You can only buy them through the website or therefore the app. That means there's no way to avoid the $2 app convenience fee, and once again, pricey. New York is trying to take your money, but ultimately I would say for the crazy experience I had, the insanity that was experienced, it was completely worth the money. I've often heard these weird romantic stories of the Rocky Horror Picture Show and how back in the 70s it was a gay old movie where people cosplayed, danced around, threw rice at the movie, and back in the 1970s it was this beautiful, interactive, weird art piece where people got together and had a weird old time in the weird old city. That weird interactivity gives that movie some longevity, and it's caused people to show up and see it just for the individual freakouts. Twisters in 4DX is just that kind of experience because it's basically 2 straight hours of driving around in your chair where your chair is a car and you're getting soaking wet from the studio rain. The fog machine is blasting. The fog machine has manifested 6 harmless but kind of real and kind of scary tornadoes in the theater with you. I turn to my left. There's a tornado blowing down the aisle. I turn in front of me. The tornado smoke is borderline warping the image of the film on screen. Lightning is striking. I'm soaking wet from the theatrical rain. A hailstorm suddenly starts because it's snowing in the movie and now it's snowing in the theater. I find this entirely hilarious because it's July and I have a sunburn and now I'm covered with snow. And all right, I gotta get more into the movie later, but I got one more fun story about the 4DX experience. So I ended up sitting next to this supremely attractive woman. I'm just gonna nickname Messy Becky because I never got a real name. So Messy Becky comes into the theater, sits down next to me. She's got a giant bucket of popcorn, a 1-gallon thing of soda, and she's sitting down watching the movie, and then the tornadoes show up. The theater starts earthquaking, and she gets rocked and shocked by the full power of an F5 tornado. Popcorn and soda goes all over her. I'm pretty sure her clothes were soaking wet by the end of it. She was a complete mess, and yet by the end, she was laughing. She was having the time of her life, and both of us were completely satisfied that movie because it was just so good. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my actual review of the movie, which is a whole separate thing from my insane 4DX religious experience. Now, spoilers ahead, I'm going to ruin the movie for you guys. And I'm just going to let you know that I probably would have had the same review of the movie had I just seen the normal version of the movie, but because I saw it in 4D, I was so much more immersed and I had such a better time and I was so hyped out of getting out of it because, like, again, watching the movie in 4D is like literally driving around in a truck fighting a tornado yourself. Like, the additional 4DX experience makes the film a million times more fun, a million times more immersive in a way that I don't think I'll fully experience ever again. And honestly, it's the best 4DX movie ever made, so I'm just laying that down on the table. All right, now, spoiler review of Twisters. Okay, it's barely about the original Twister movie, but that's okay because I don't remember the original Twister movie. Maybe you don't either. The only connection is that in the original Twisters movie, they had like these tennis ball robots, and in like the opening scene of this movie, and then in like one other scene, some of the tornado chaser teams in this movie also used the exact same tennis ball robots. And that is the only callback to the first movie you get. I also have to personally say that I'm kind of shocked and disgusted that the flying cow, which was pretty much the mascot and the main advertising like mascot of the original movie, is completely omitted from this one, and that kind of bummed me out. There was even a scene where a tornado destroys a ranch, and as far as I could tell, as far as I saw, there were no animals harmed on screen in this film. Someone's missing a dog, and that's about it. I mean, maybe I missed like a flying horse or a flying cow, but I didn't see anything. Like, a few people get sucked into a tornado, that's kind of scary, but this is basically a non-scary kids action film. Like, I'm pretty sure this movie was PG and not R, and it's not the scary tornado slasher film that the first movie was. I can't believe they didn't have the cow, though. Like, I thought they would at least have the cow because the cow was so quintessential to the first movie. The cow was on the poster for the first movie. I mean, for the love of God, don't have a cow, man, but you should have had a cow, man. In the first few minutes of the film, we are introduced to the main character of the film, this amateur tornado chasing team. This consists of the main character, Kate, her friend Javi, a hot girl with glasses, and some other guys. Now, I gotta say, in the first few minutes of the film, they kind of sold me on these characters, and I thought they were all going to be important characters. So I was immediately sort of bummed out when immediately 3 of them got auto-killed by the first baby tornado. I also kind of gotta say that Kate and the girl with the glasses were so similar that when the girl with the glasses died, I was kind of set back because I thought up to that point she was the main character. And Kate and the girl with the glasses looked so much alike that was kind of weird for me. Anyway, skip 5 years ahead. Kate has moved to New York and become a weather girl. Javi forces her out of retirement and makes her help him join his tornado group that is going to do the first ever 3D scan of a tornado. No one's ever done that before, and he plans to do it with like these 3 giant refrigerator-sized 3D scanners on these 3 trucks. Now, this initial premise seemed pretty okay because that's basically in line with the premise of the original movie. Scientists doing science things against a dangerous tornado. However, a few minutes into this premise, the plot is completely derailed by the brand new character of Tyler Owens, YouTuber, tornado wrangler, and his gang of redneck supporters. His gang of uneducated groupies show up, immediately set down the circus, they start selling t-shirts, they start selling corn on the cob, they start doing whatever the fuck, and they're in the scientist's way. Tyler comes over and he drives his monster truck style monster truck with a bunch of ridiculous customizations on it. It's got a fireworks cannon. It's got roller coaster seats. It's got a rocket launcher. It's got this giant, super expensive drill that drills into the middle of the ground so the tornado cannot suck up the truck. And then he proceeds to shoot the tornado full of fireworks while he's like explicitly doing this Mr. Beast style video of, can you shoot a tornado with fireworks? Yes, you can. The movie initially posits that this has now become a competition between this well-trained group of scientist professionals and this group of scrappy, uneducated amateur YouTubers who are endangering their lives and the lives of the scientists for quick cash and clicks. But as the movie goes on, that competition premise fades away, and it's ultimately revealed that the scientists' team is in the wrong because they're being bankrolled by a cartoonishly stereotypical boss hog cowboy land baron who's running a real estate scam to steal land from the tornado victims and fund the construction of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Now, meanwhile, those scrappy YouTubers who were initially presented as these money, fame-hungry idiots endangering the scientists turned out to be actually justified because even though they're uneducated, even though they're taking deadly risks for views and clicks, they are at the end of the day philanthropists and they all have hearts of gold. They are protecting their community, they are giving back what they earned, and when the government and special interests are failed, they're stepping up and doing the work and saving the community. Now, at this point, I don't think there's anything else I have to say about this movie. Like, that's the movie right there. There's a corny and stereotypical love story. There's a few more scary tornado scenes. There's one where they have to jump in a swimming pool. That's exciting. And the movie ends with the two teams working together. Kate proving her deadly science experiment accurate by putting out a tornado by somehow dumping a bucket of salt on it. And meanwhile, Tyler definitely monetized that shit for YouTube clicks. So everybody wins. Also, I'm not a scientist, but please let me know if this movie is at all accurate. Could you defuse a tornado by dumping a barrel of salt or chlorine on it? Because I guess that sounds plausible, but I'm kind of salty. Ha! Alright, anyway, moving past the movie. Now, I want to talk now about the secret message behind the movie, or rather the message that seems to be embedded in the script and turned out to be the heart and theme of the movie. Now, a few years ago, there was this movie I reviewed called Glass Onion. Glass Onion was a sequel to the movie Knives Out, and Glass Onion was ostensibly a hit piece against Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, seemingly presenting this absurd scenario where Joe Rogan dies a clown's death, and then Elon Musk eventually gets tricked by a sassy woman and a detective into blowing up his own house. I bring that up because this movie has almost the same energy as that movie. But unlike that movie, this movie is not a hit piece. If anything, this movie is a legend, and it is bizarrely the legend of Mr. Beast. Now, if you've never heard of him, James Jimmy Mr. Beast Donaldson, currently the richest, most successful YouTuber in the world, born to an impoverished family in North Carolina. Beast has YouTubed full-time since the age of 12, and now, 10 years later, at the age of 26, he is estimated to have a net worth of over $500 million, making him a half-billionaire. And he's younger than me too, so I'm kind of jealous. Now, moving back to Twisters. The rival character, Tyler Owens, is such a bizarre character because he's basically a Hollywoodized, legendized version of Mr. Beast, who's so legendary that for the first time in my life, I have to consider what will actually happen when Mr. Beast someday dies. Now, ignoring the possibility of assassination or him suffering an early Jim Henson freak accidental ammonia death, I'm really hoping that Mr. Beast will outlive me. So contemplating the death of Mr. Beast is something that I've never really had to think about until this movie kind of made me think about it. This movie is weird because it's basically the blueprint for a future Mr. Beast biopic. Definitely Tyler is an idealized version of Mr. Beast. And let's face it, Mr. Beast and fun is all, but he's not a ripped redneck man god like Tyler is. And Mr. Beast has also been known his dedication to becoming a billionaire has prevented him from dating and probably stunted his social skills and prevented him from working himself in a way that's not explicitly noticeable when you're not seeing him just doing YouTube games. But anyway, again, this movie is ostensibly contemplating the legacy of Mr. Beast and how he will be remembered after he's dead, and for that matter, how he's perceived right now. Because even right now, all over the world, everyone has their own opinion of Mr. Beast. Hell, even this weekend, a brand new meme started online making fun of Mr. Beast for spending his millions of dollars doing charity work instead of, say, becoming Batman and waging a vigilante crusade on the city's crime rate. Since Mr. Beast has reached his millionaire status, he's been going bigger and bolder with his charitable efforts. Like, personally, I think Mr. Beast is actually doing good things for the world. Using his power, using his wealth to fix international problems when governments have failed. Is it self-interested? Maybe, but I think people have overlooked that he has actually done some good. And I'm especially supportive of his personal crusade to clean up the ocean, because I believe that literally no one else is doing this. And I believe that he's directly slowing down potentially deadly global climate change that could someday put my house in the ocean. Like, seriously, who else is fighting climate change directly like that? No one, just Mr. Beast. Now, on the flip side of that coin, because Mr. Beast has filmed every act of charity he's done, people have to question his methodology. There's a lot of cynical questions about why is he doing it? Why is he filming it? Why is he monetizing his charity for clicks? Is he just making videos for the sake of making videos? Like, did he help blind kids get eyeballs because he wanted to do it, or because he needed to make another video to feed his algorithm that week? I conducted a public poll to try and get more information about why exactly Mr. Beast is so hated, and on surface level, I would say a majority of people just don't trust him. Like, many people think he's got an ulterior motive, and then they have to wonder, well, what is his ulterior motive? Like, could Mr. Beast just make a charity without filming it? But then if he did, what proof would there be that he was actually making the charity? What proof would there be that his charity actually made a difference at all? Like, I mean, on the flip side, like, the more I looked into it for this video, I actually kind of appreciate Mr. Beast even more, because there is video proof of his charity, especially when major influencers in the past have ran scam charities that didn't actually donate any of the money in the end. So, you know, like, comparing these two guys, like, this guy actually did the work, and this guy didn't. These questions are somehow embedded into the core of the movie Twisters, with Kate wondering herself if Tyler really is such a good guy when he sells t-shirts with his face on them. But then again, apparently his charity pays for those, so it's justified. I again have to wonder if Twisters is in some ways laying down the blueprints for a future Mr. Beast biopic. Now, once again, I'm expecting Mr. Beast to outlive me, so I don't think I'll ever see a Mr. Beast biopic, but I guess I realized after today that that will definitely someday be a thing in the future. Maybe it'll come out in the year 2080. Hey, leave a comment if you're watching this video in 2080. Was I right? Am I still alive? Was that Mr. Beast biopic any good? Anyway, Twisters is basically a best of the best Legend of Mr. Beast movie that makes me realize that Mr. Beast might someday become an American folk hero like Johnny Appleseed or Paul Bunyan, or hell, maybe Colonel Sanders. I could definitely see Mr. Beast eventually turning into Colonel Sanders. Like, after he dies, he becomes a cartoon character or something ridiculous like that. Mr. Beast became the story of a scrappy YouTuber who gamed the system and became the richest man on Earth. And he tried to help people, but he never found love. And that's his story so far, and I guess time will tell if there's a twist ending beyond that. And once again, in lieu of a political scandal or a sex crime or an assassination or some other insane, unforeseen situation that destroys his brand, I want to say this movie is almost weirdly nostalgic for the Mr. Beast who is currently active right now, immortalizing him in this film, romanticizing him as an American hero, and as a person who took stupid, dangerous risks to make incredible YouTube videos, and then who used the money from those videos to make the world a better place and give back to his community. Ironically positioning Mr. Beast as a sort of legendary Superman, an anomaly in an otherwise collapsing world of late-stage capitalism. I came into Twisters seeking a fun, stupid tornado movie, but I left with a newfound respect for the legacy of Mr. Beast. Or at least that's the theme that the movie gives me anyhow. Anyway, Twisters ends on a messy love triangle between Javi, Cade, and Tyler, with seemingly Tyler winning, only because Javi is too much of an ass and I think he and Cade have too much dark history together. So anyway, Cade and Tyler run off to the airport together, with the two of them seemingly having some sort of a future together in some capacity. That's how the movie ends. It's a happy ending for everyone. But will Mr. Beast have a happy ending? Only time will tell. I mean, he still needs to work on his personal life. He still needs to get married, and I'm sure someone out there will fall for him someday, or at least just settle for his $500 million. Maybe this movie will change how you feel about Mr. Beast too, or maybe your mind is already made up. But anyway, my point is, Twisters is fucking about Mr. Beast. What the hell? Anyway, I think if Mr. Beast quit YouTube tomorrow, I think this movie kind of proves that he's got a legacy, and his legacy is kind of insured to history at this point. And that's kind of amazing. At least I think so. Well, anyway, Mr. Beast doesn't watch movies, so he's never going to know this movie is about him. But, did you think it was good? Let me know in the comments. All right, thanks, everybody. Good night.